Hey guys, I'm Andi.
And I'm Ayla.
And this is Sinister Dynasty. Cool. So, last time we left you, we were doing part 1 of the missing case. Well, yeah, pretty much the missing persons case / homicide of Ben Smart and Olivia Hope. And this part 2 of the case, we've got two two-parters in a row for you guys. We just had Ayla's one, and then we've got my one now. What was your one that we just did?
Mr. Asia.
Oh, that's right. That was a good one. I loved that one.
I know.
Yeah, so mine's also a two-parter. That's probably the only similarity we've got between them. So I'll get straight into it anyway. So remember how I said earlier in part 1 that Scott was they said that the unknown man looked quite scruffy.
And if you don't remember, the man in part 1 looked quite scruffy.
Thank you. So there is a photo of Scott taken on the night of the party on a neighbouring yacht. So I'm guessing that's when the neighbours were partying with him and they were chatting about that in his trial. So the photo was of him looking clean shaven and with short hair. So this photo was deliberately not shown to Roz, who was the bar manager, and she said that if she had seen this photo, she would not have picked Scott out of the montage because his hair was too short to be the mystery man. So remember, she and Guy picked Scott on the photo because of his mid-blink, or his photo was mid-blink. So both Guy and Roz later presented affidavits claiming the police had misled them when showing the photo. And to top this off, in the photo montages shown, only Scott was mid-blink. So we kind of touched on that in the first part. Like, he was the only one that was mid-blink.
Yes.
In all the photos.
Yes.
So it should have been, I don't know. It says that. So perhaps if any of the other photos were mid-blink, they might have been identified instead. That was me writing that down, trying to be good. Kind of ad-lib a bit, yeah. So Scott was quite drunk, as they said, and the neighbours have said this too. When you're drunk, your eyes can get a bit heavy as well. So there's that too. But then that, pretty much. But that could also explain why the mystery man had the hooded look as well. So mystery man could be Scott, and he could have the hooded eyes because he was drunk. Or he could just have hooded eyes. You don't know. You really don't know.
There's a lot of options there.
Yeah, there is a few options. So Scott's prior 48 criminal convictions that we talked about in part 1, they were mainly from when he was growing up, and he only had one conviction from 1990 to when the disappearances occurred in 1998.
Oh, so he had a bit of a rough beginning.
He had a rough start, yeah.
Oh, goodness, poor boy.
But he still had one conviction as well. He still had one conviction, and it didn't say what the conviction was for, so it could have been maybe his assault case or something as well. You don't know. So there's different perspectives on that. So on top of this as well, Scott's boat looks nothing really like what Guy had described, which I've already said too, like they were same but very different kind of thing. So Scott's boat had one mast and no portholes, and only 3 meters squared of the outside of the boat was painted blue. I don't know where I got that figure from. I got it from somewhere.
It's a fun
but only that much of the outside of the boat was painted blue, and this was done after New Year's Day, and it had been planned well in advance by Scott. So maybe that's why he'd cleaned it as well.
To paint it,
yeah. Also, police said that the blade had been fully wiped down, cleaned, but a fingerprint analyst said that in the trial that it was only 30% cleaned, like the boat was only 30% cleaned, and a neighbour confirmed that this was done prior to Christmas. So maybe Scott and Sandra Joe had been the only ones on the boat since Christmas, really. So the police were saying that the mystery ketch was not likely to exist, and it sounded... the police saying that the mystery ketch was not likely to exist sounds like it was very wrong. As like I said at the start, there was the viewings of the ketch that Guy had described.
Yes.
So there was the boat builder who said the boat looked really pretty, and there was the couple who drove around it, and then there was another couple who thought they saw Ben and Olivia on the back. And they all remembered the boat looking the way that Guy had described it.
We've just had this conversation though, but the boat, like I said, they drove around it. It's not likely they're gonna be like, oh, it's actually got two
masts
when it's got one. And the boat builder, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah,
and he said that in the first one.
So that's why I find it real funny about what you said, because they, like in your case, in Mona Blade's case, they put so much emphasis, and in my Christy case as well, they put so much emphasis on a vehicle that they don't take in anything else. But in this case, they were like, oh, well, the boat's not there, let's just forget about it entirely, and they focus on other things.
Yeah, let's pretend.
So that's why I found it quite funny. It's literally the opposite.
There's still a lot of emphasis on this boat, though.
Yeah, so police could have been right to push that away as well and be like, oh, well, there's lots of emphasis on this boat. So you can see where everyone's coming from. And the police only want I'm guessing that police only want what's best for everyone. They want to make sure that right people get justice. Well, not get justice.
Or do they just want the case to go away?
Oh, I'm really hoping that's not the case, because then hopefully they shouldn't be in the police. That's my view on it. Every policeman should be good. I know that's not always the case, but I hope it is, and I hope it is the case. I'm gonna keep hoping it is. So the police, no, I already covered that. But yeah, so also in the Doubt documentary, so the Scott Watson case, one that I watched, witnesses who saw the boat tied up at Mapua Wharf. Oh, so there were witnesses. So Mapua is in the Nelson area, kind of around there. Okay, so it's at the top of the south. So Nelson's about a 2-hour drive from Blenheim, Picton, about a 2-hour drive from Picton. So you can, and then of course Nelson's by the water, and Mapua is, I know, we'll put a little map for you guys over there, but it's a close-ish sail anyway, so it makes sense that it would go to Mapua Wharf, I guess. So witnesses saw it tied up at Mapua Wharf, and so they were interviewed, and they were shocked and angry when they were told that the boat that they had stared at and admired for ages were not actually real. So even more people admired the boat.
That would honestly piss you off so much. Yeah,
but again, I'm trying not to form an opinion on this, because again, it could go either way. Honestly, you can see both sides.
I've got no opinion on who's actually done the murdering, but
it might not even be a murder as well.
It might not be.
Yeah,
but
So that was interesting though, that they focused. Like, there were people who were saying, yes, we definitely saw this boat and it was really beautiful. And then they were like, oh, no, you didn't.
And it's not just one person.
Yeah, it's a group of people.
And a boat maker.
Yeah, and a boat builder. Yeah, exactly. So there was also a couple in Auckland called, they were David and Rachel Arledge. So they said in 2007 that the ketch had been next to their boat at Bayswater Marina in Auckland when the murder investigation was ongoing. So that was in 2007. So that was like... I can't do maths. It's like 9 years later kind of thing. So I'll get into it a bit more. So that's a bit strange. You first think of like, oh, well, they're just saying that because, I don't know, something rather.
Yeah.
But so David, at the time when they saw it in like 1998, David made a joke to the skipper saying that the police must be interested in his yacht, and the skipper replied, I know, I was there. So David was just trying to make like, oh, haha, that's funny, that's what the boat's saying, and I think the skipper replied quite seriously, like, yeah, I know. Like, oh, that's not so good.
Did David call the police?
Well, by this time, so in 1998, the police had declared the ketch was not important, and so the couple didn't think much of it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So it was only until David watched a documentary years later, so in 2007 probably, about Olivia and Ben, and realised that the boat was actually the boat that guy could have been talking about.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh my goodness, fair enough. I'd be a bit
freak out.
I'd be freaked out too. Yeah, so going back to the two-trip theory the Crown relied on, so this was when Donna dropped Scott off at the Blade around 2 a.m, and it was definitely Scott at 2 a.m, so that definitely happened. So how come the jury were convinced Actually, no, I'll just go back into the two-trip theory real quick. So Donna dropped Scott off at the Blade on the water taxi around 2 a.m.
Yep.
And then supposedly he went back to shore and hit a girl between 3 and 3:30 a.m. And then he was the unknown man who came back with Amelia, who was Olivia's sister, and Rick, her partner. Yep. And Guy was on the water taxi, and there was also Hayden and Sarah who were on the water taxi. So that was the two-trip theory. He somehow left his boat, the Blade, to go back to shore after Don had dropped him off, and then he hopped on the boat and he was that man. So that was the theory. So how come the jury were convinced Scott was guilty if the man on Guy's water taxi was not positively identified as Scott? So I mean, you can see perspectives here again as well. The man might not have been identified because it was a bit darker as well, and there's lots of different lightings, I guess, but also it would also have been dark at 2 a.m. too. So he was definitely identified at 2 a.m. going on the water taxi
to his boat.
Yeah, to his boat by Don, and then he wasn't. He could have been, like, people thought it might have been him, but it might not have been him on the water taxi with Guy.
So there was no identification on that second trip.
Well, there was, because there was the hooded eye photos that they saw. So they thought it was him, but it's you see, so it's not for certain that it was him. So there wasn't even an explanation as to how he got back, that the other witnesses had supposedly seen him. So that's what I just covered before. Like, how did he get from... Well, this is just a generic question, really. He could have done it. He could have left... So remember that the boats were real closely parked together, and he could have maybe left somehow, but the people couldn't explain how he left. But he somehow ended back up on shore to be not positively identified to get back. It's
still a lot. Like, it's possible.
Yeah, but it's also not possible.
Still a lot.
Yeah. So confusion for sure. There's some confusion there.
Was there any with that? Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Detour. Was there? How did he get from his boat back to the beach?
Well, that's what they're saying. They don't know. But so the Crown. So when he got convicted of the crime, the Crown said, "Well, They pretty much said, we don't know how we got back to the shore to get on that boat a second time, but he did it because there were witnesses identifying him hitting a girl or getting into a fight on the shore, and then they thought he was the unknown man on the boat, so he must have got back to the shore somehow." So that was the Crown's two-trip theory. Yeah. Man. So they couldn't explain it, but he'd done it. He did it.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So the prisoners who I testified Scott had admitted to the crime. So this is kind of what you talked about in part 1, so going into that a bit more. So witness A said later to some lawyers and the New Zealand Herald that he had lied. So he was receiving death threats at the time from a gang member in prison, and he was also coming up for parole. So the police had supposedly visited him at least 10 times in the space of a year, pressuring him into saying Scott was involved. So witness A decided to help the police because he thought they may be able to help protect him once he was out. So he did not sign anything that might have helped Scott's case. So after the trial, that news came out, but he didn't sign anything saying it came out, so they didn't actually have proof about it. So they couldn't do another trial. So the other witness, we'll say witness B, because it's easier, A and B. So B said at the trial that he and Scott were good friends from talking to each other lots in prison, and that's how we got the...
information.
Yeah, that's how we got the information. So, but witness B and Scott were actually in different cells, so there was never really the chance for them to interact and build that friendship, really, because there wasn't much interaction between the different cells. So why would Scott incriminate himself to someone he barely knew?
He wouldn't.
Well, I mean, you never know. You never know. That's the thing. Yeah,
it could have been a gossip.
Yeah,
drama.
But it was also found that when witness B was released, because he helped police convict Scott, he was given a cell phone and use of a car. So I mean, that could mean anything, I guess, too. So again, it's on the fence. Witness A is a bit like, he probably shouldn't have said that in the trial.
Good on him for coming out, though.
Yeah, but he should have signed something as well if he was lying. But that's okay. Well, not okay. something should be done about that, I guess.
Yes, they should follow up.
Yeah. But finally, there were questions surrounding the reliability of the hair found on Scott's yacht. So this is what you were talking about as well. Well, kind of. So Susan, the forensic biologist, so she'd searched the 400-odd hairs that were found on the boat 3 times and only found a match on her last search. So she searched all 400 hairs 3 times. And so, so she conducted, when it was found as a match on her last search, that same day, previously on that same day, she had conducted on the same table, like she tested the reference hairs on the same day.
Yeah.
So just before she tested on the 3rd time. Yeah, you know what I'm meaning. Yeah. So there was that. So it was
a job.
Yeah. So it was also then found that in the reference bag had a 1 centimetre hole at the bottom of it, and that might have been, like Susan explained, that it could have been due to the scissors she'd used to cut into the bag, like to get the reference hairs out, kind of thing. Fair enough, easy happens. Yeah, it happens easily. So this was on top of her asking the jury to consider secondary transfer from Olivia to Scott. Oh, so she might have actually talked about that in the trial, actually. I don't know, but I'm pretending it's previous information. Well, not previous information, later information. Well, yeah. So the testing, there was a hole in the bag, pretty much, and so she'd done 2 previous tests on the hairs found on the boat, and they hadn't had any matches. And then on her 3rd test, after she tested the reference hairs on the same table, she found a match. So there was that. And also, I said at the end, did you ever cramp too? Oh, no, you're just laughing at that.
No, I'm just laughing at that. It's like, oh my God.
Also, hair testing does not seem to be an accurate identification method as well, currently.
Like I said, you can only test through the follicle.
I'm glad you know that, because I don't know shit.
I don't know how I know that, but I know that. And
that's from all your morbid stuff. Yeah.
I'm very confident in my answer.
Yeah. So Scott has made a few appeals since his conviction in September 1999. There you go. So in 2000, 3 appeal court judges decided there was not any new evidence and therefore did not recommend a second trial, despite the 2-trip theory coming out shockingly late in the trial. So they'd introduced the two trip theory quite late, and so I'm guessing the defence didn't have time to, I don't know,
mull over that fully.
Yeah. So after the prison witness information came out, after the Court of Appeal hearing in 2000, Scott appealed again in 2003, but he was told there was no grounds for further appeal. So that was after the prison information came out and that witness A and B and blah, blah, blah. So in 2009, he also applied to the Governor-General for a royal prerogative of mercy. He did this by writing a 22-page letter and sending it with Keith Hunter's book, Trial by Trickery, Trial by Trickery, about his case. So Keith had written the book on it. Yes. Yeah. And so Keith's perspective, Keith's opinion is Scott's innocent and he's just got framed for everything. That's the opinion of it. That's his opinion, and that's what Scott sent through with this letter.
Yeah.
So he also sent the documentary Murder on the Blade, and so there's an emphasis on the question mark, so it's Murder on the Blade. Yeah. I had to gesture again for that. So Christy MacDonald, who was a barrister, or is a barrister, I'm not too sure, but she was asked to look into the application. She interviewed Guy Wallace and Ros McNeely. So Guy was the water taxi guy. And Ros McNeely was the bar manager. But Christie said that these interviews did not raise a reasonable level of doubt about Scott's convictions. So, okay. Well, that was the assessment. Yeah, okay.
And then what are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. So when Scott applied for parole for the first time in 2015, the board denied him and said that in 2001 and 2002 he had failed 2 drug tests, even though these were never recorded at the time. So the board also said that his psychological report said he was at risk of reoffending in a violent way. You want to avoid that if possible. Yes. So Scott applied again in 2016 after saying he had never known Ben or Olivia, but a psychologist who did not meet with or interview him, they agreed with the first psychological report and said Scott should not be released. So it was a bit unfair, but I mean, maybe they're just really good at telepathic stuff. I don't know.
That is exactly what was going through my head.
Telepathic stuff.
No, how unfair that is. I'm thinking to myself, that's unfair, and you said it, and I was like,
yeah, bright mind. Is that the word? No.
Telepathic.
There you go. So I do want to note, past me wants to know, because I don't remember this, that the two psychologists who saw Scott worked under the Department of Corrections, and that at Scott's first parole hearing he was given permission to see a psychologist outside of corrections.
Good.
So that's good. His counsel, though, said that they were not told this, but it later came out that he had seen a private psychologist for a few sessions and a report was produced, but there was no assessment of Scott's risk. So
that is
maybe
great.
They were hiding. I don't know. Maybe they were hiding that or something. I don't know.
That was great that they did that outside of corrections.
Yeah, no, that was cool. That was cool that they offered that. And even with the private psychologist report, the report also followed the first report saying that he was at risk of reoffending in a violent way.
Yes.
So the private psychologist and the two from corrections all have the same opinion on that.
Well, it is what it is.
So adding to that, it probably did also not help that in 2007 he had assaulted another inmate, and his appeal for that case was denied in 2008. So when he was in prison for Ben and Olivia, who he supposedly, he assaulted someone else. So Scott applied for parole for a third time in 2020, so 2 years ago, and it was previously determined that Scott needed at least... I'll start that again. So Scott applied for parole for a third time in 2020. So this is quite recent. So this was 2 years ago. And because it was previously determined that he'd needed at least 4 more years to reduce his risk to society. So he applied for parole in 2015 and they were like, no, you need to wait 4 more years. So that's why he waited until 2020. Bad maths, but that's yes. 5 years, but good, yeah. So the board said that he had been behaving well and the corrections staff agreed, but it was concluded that he had not made much progress in his psychological treatment. So this was because Scott denied the crimes and so he didn't qualify for the treatment. So he denied them, so he didn't qualify, and so that impacted his... Yeah. So he was again denied parole in 2021, so last year, and his next hearing is scheduled for October next year, so 2023. So his sister Sandra Jo does not think he will ever get parole, as he has to show remorse for a crime that he did not commit.
Fair.
Yeah.
I hope they put in place, something that he can do to make him...
Well, again, it's tough because you can see everyone's perspectives on it. Like, you can see the different viewpoints on it.
Yeah, absolutely. But if they're saying, no, you need treatment, and then, no, you do not qualify for treatment.
Yeah, because
that's not on.
Yeah.
Like, give him the opportunity to have treatment, if he's saying, but you can't expect someone to be...
Yeah, well, he didn't qualify because he denied the crimes, and so he can't.
Yeah, but they could put in place something else that it's awful,
tough.
But if he did do it, then, he's where he needs to be. But if he didn't do it...
then exactly. And that's the whole thing, is I'm pretty sure from my very little knowledge, also because I wasn't even born at the time. I don't think either of us were born at the time.
We were missing.
Not. I think it's quite a divided, like, there's people who think he did do it and people who think he didn't do it. So it's a big case. But, anyway.
I don't have an opinion in the sense, but you could see, they have highlighted, it could have happened like this.
Yeah.
But it also couldn't have happened.
Yeah.
It could have happened, something else could have happened.
Like another different way, yeah.
Like someone else could have been involved.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bit mucky, a bit murky in the waters. I should not have said that. That's so good. I'm sorry. That's not good. In 2011,
Oh, we're still going.
Yeah, so we've still got a few more pages.
Oh, shit, okay.
So,
I thought we were at the end. Okay, carry on.
No. So in 2007, Olivia's dad, Gerald Hope, he said that he didn't feel comfortable about the way the Crown ran the case and said it seemed like a theatre show to persuade the jury of Scott's guiltiness. He referenced Olivia's sister Amelia, who was made to cry on the stand when asked about some rings she had exchanged with Olivia at Christmas. And this had nothing to do with the case at hand, so he referenced that.
How awful.
Yeah, that's not fair, eh? But Ben's mum, Mary, disagreed with this and thought it was a fair trial. So you can see two different perspectives there as well.
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah, so also when the disappearances first happened, so on the 1st of January 1998, a very negative description of Olivia was accidentally sent out to 28 boat mariners. So this was published in the newspaper and made Gerald very angry, as it should, because she was she was just not explained very well or fairly at all, and that description was sent out to 28 boat mariners, so multiple different people. And so Inspector, I won't go into.
How old was she? 18.
17.
Yeah.
So Olivia was 17. Yeah. So it shouldn't be said about anyone.
No, it shouldn't. I don't see why any of that shit matters.
Exactly. Yeah. And if it was true, if it's not true,
it should not affect the case whatsoever.
Yeah. So Inspector Rob Pope made a personal and public apology to the family because of the description that was sent out. Good, because that's not on. So 2 3-hour meetings between Scott and Gerald were set up in 2016 by Mike White, who was a journalist for North and South. So maybe that's the interviews you heard, maybe, I don't know, on your podcast. But so Scott was the guy who got put in prison and Gerald is Olivia's dad. Just recapping.
Yes, I think it was.
Yeah. So they took place at Rolleston Prison in Christchurch, and they were opposed by the Department. Wait, what? Yeah, and were opposed by the Department of Corrections. So Gerald said he was unconvinced by some of Scott's answers to his questions, but also thought that both of them were victims and were still awaiting the truth. So Mike White wrote an article about the meetings, and he actually said this, Gerald Hope clearly has significant concerns about the police investigation into the disappearance of his daughter and Ben Smart, as well as the trial process, and has many doubts about the case that convicted Scott Watson. He now rejects crucial evidence that underpinned Watson's conviction. So that's Gerald saying doesn't agree with the evidence that put Scott in prison.
Yeah.
So he also said Scott is still angry from the treatment he got from police during the investigation. Probably the media as well, because the media ruined everything.
The media put a real bad spin on it.
Yeah, they did. So Mike White also said that an issue with Scott's trial was that the Crown did not show how Scott made 2 trips early on the 1st of January, but told the jury it didn't matter as he had done the crime. So that's what we've touched base on. Yeah. So that was pointed out by Mike White being like, well, it's probably pointed out in the book as well by Keith, I think. Just what was the evidence behind the 2 trips. So I also saw a Facebook comment, which is very reliable.
God, I love a good Facebook comment.
Oh, God, I love it. But they said, the person said there were some off-duty policemen who were fishing out near New Plymouth, so in the North Island. I'm sure everyone knew that though. And they saw the ketch that guy had described and it was sailing north. So they tried to make contact with it repeatedly, but there were no responses. And this was not followed up on, so no one looked into that, even though they off-duty policemen saw it. So another comment was that a psychic should get involved.
God,
I love bringing them into these books.
God, fucking Jesus! Like, there's a time and a place, and this is neither the time nor the place for them.
No, definitely not. But that's all right. Well, then, yeah. Anyway.
Folks hope.
Yeah, so another also said that the case was built around Scott. So there is that perspective too, yes, that they made him fit the bill, I guess, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so I saw on YouTube as well that one of the comments there, very reliable again, but it states that they'd known the Watsons for about 17 years prior to the disappearance and that Scott couldn't have done it. So it was also the mystery. Oh, it also said that the mystery ketch was originally owned by a Canadian couple, and it was sailed across the Pacific to Noumea, that place, yeah, but where it changed hands at short notice. And then it was used as a drug boat operating between New Zealand and New Caledonia, and it was at Furneaux Lodge that New Year's Eve. So it was a drug boat, they're saying. So Inspector Pope had been head of the drug squad in New Zealand, and to protect the drug syndicates, he denied that the ketch existed and focused on Scott as a scapegoat. And this sadly left Ben and Olivia to the fate at the hands of the drug dealers.
Oh my god,
So
I'm gonna go looking.
Theory, yeah.
I'm gonna go looking for what this drug ring was.
Yeah.
Because that'd be another cool. Like, Mr. Asia was incredible.
Mr. Asia was very good. I loved that. Well, as much as you could, I guess. For
like, we don't condone what they did.
No, hell no. But so I thought, I mean, that comment is, you can't even test its reliability because I found it on YouTube of all places. But it brings up another theory as well. Well, kind of, that it was a drug boat and they were on that. So there's that. So the documentary that I watched also, so that was the Doubt, the Scott Watson trial case one. It was quite interesting. The documentary shows that the mystery man is a different actor to the person who played Scott Wallace. So they didn't have the same actor play Scott and the mystery man, because remember there was the mystery man who hopped on the water taxi with Guy Wallace.
Can you repeat that entire thing?
Of course actor? I can. So in the documentary, they obviously had actors to play out the things, and so they used a different actor. So the person who played Scott Wallace was not the person who played the mystery man. Okay,
so they just don't think it was Scott.
Yeah, well, that's why it's called Doubt. The Scott Watson. Yeah, I picked up on that one. So I also want to add that back when the rumours were going around about Scott, so about his relationship with Sandra Jo, and other stuff, Gerald Hope said that Gerald, I'm going to keep calling him Gerald, I'm sorry, said that the police deliberately leaked details of Scott's criminal history and were responsible for the unsubstantiated suggestions of incest.
Which is correct.
Well, it's not very good either. It's not very good.
But not correct. It was the media who said that, wasn't it?
Well, he said that the police deliberately leaked details.
Of his...
So, yeah. So there's that, too. So, yeah, there's whatever you want to do with that information, do what you must. But this would not have helped Scott at all, obviously. Because, again, the media just blew everything up. Well, It was already blown up because it's a huge case, but you know what I mean. So Gerald also said on a TV interview during the investigation that he was told by police that the ketch was not a key focus in the investigation, and he said on camera that he disagreed with this. Yeah. So there's that too. There's that. So there's the viewings of the boat, of the ketch, and then there's also Olivia's dad saying that he, disagreed with the police saying, no, we won't focus on it. So Guy Wallace also agreed that some police involvement was not helpful and that he felt lots of pressure from the police and the media to help convict Scott, which is kind of what we covered in part one as well. Yes. So he was even at one point blamed for the disappearances, what I said in part one, and that he just went to the media to be like, look, it's not me, don't pin it on me kind of thing. And that's, he's thinking that's where they were like, okay, well, it's not him, it's Scott kind of thing. So that's his perspective of it. Well, that was his perspective of it. He even said in 2007 that Scott was innocent, and in 2015 he said he had felt responsible for years for sending Scott to prison. He also, so I said was because in March 2021 he died of a suspected suicide. Oh. Yeah, so there were. This was a few days before his own trial was meant to begin, and he was facing a series of charges against a young person between 2010 and 2013. So as he never went to trial, he must be presumed innocent because he passed away before the trial happened. So there was that too. I think he actually moved to Greymouth as well, or the West Coast anyway. So down from wherever he was, Marlborough Sounds at Furneaux Lodge. I think they moved down to the West Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that. So up until his death, Guy maintained that Scott was not the guy on the water taxi, and he did not drop Olivia and Ben off at the Blade. So he maintained that he didn't do that. He did, like, it wasn't Scott and it wasn't the Blade. Yeah. So,
I don't even know what to say to that. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
Like, you can't argue that. Like, he is dead set, and he is the one that dropped them off.
That dropped the man off. Yeah. Yeah. So Scott is now 50 years old, and he's been in prison for 24 years. So since Scott, I think, is it 20? No.
Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah, 23 years, no, it's something like that. It's in the early 20s. Yeah. I'm not good at maths, I'm sorry.
We've also worked all day, so.
Since Scott has been in prison, he married Coral Branch in 2004, but they separated in 2007. So the board said in Scott's parole hearing that he had been supported by his partner Christina, who had been with him for 16 years and had visited him once a week. So if it was 16 years, then he would have started seeing her in 2004 when he married Coral. So there's that too. I don't know.
Prison.
I mean, you can still marry by the sounds of it. I guess there's that. But it sounds like he was cheating on his partner, so not good.
In prison?
Yeah, in prison.
I don't understand how prison works, apparently.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I did watch Orange is the New Black, though, so I do know a little bit.
I have not seen that.
I do know Orange is the New Black, no. So I do just want to finish this case on Ben and Olivia. So the people that, well, I want to say couple, but maybe they're just friends, you don't know. Who went missing in 1998. So it was said that they were an attractive duo and that they were showing real promise for their futures. So Olivia was going to study law at Otago University, and Ben was going to start work at his dad's engineering firm early in the new year, so in 1998. So they were both dependable and well-adjusted people, and they also had really good relationships with their families. So that's why they thought them not coming home was weird. Yeah, it was really weird. So on top of that, Olivia was also head prefect at her school in 1997 and was a really good pianist, and Ben played in bands, so I'm guessing they bonded over music and then it's how they met, kind of thing, I'm guessing.
That's nice.
Yeah. So that's the case. Pretty much, yeah. So
I've been angry through that entire case, and then you hit me with that. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh,
I thought it was a good way to finish it, but they still haven't been found, so you don't actually know. Well, you do kind of know, but you don't want to know.
They had such promising futures, though. It's very unlikely, in my opinion, but I know nothing, that they would be runaways.
Oh yeah. That doesn't seem likely. The families agree with that too, as well. Well, they did at the time. I'm not too sure what they know now. Not what they know now, what they think now. But yeah. I thought that was a nice way to finish it. It was. But the case is a bit here, there, and everywhere. Especially with people openly admitting to seeing the ketch other places and admiring it and everything. I wonder if, actually, looking at the book cover, is that... Oh, no, that's one mast. So that would be the blade then, maybe. Or just
I think it's just a photo.
Yeah.
But what it does say is distortion, misinformation, manipulation, false argument, illogic. That is on the cover.
Well, it is called Trial by Trickery, so they're definitely taking Scott's side in this. Scott Watson's side.
But yeah, it's quite it's got the open letter to New Zealand's Parliament and the Queen's got the Queen versus Scott Watson inquiry.
Does it have the 22-page letter in it? Is it?
Oh fuck.
Surely. Oh no, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't, because the book was published before then. Is
regularly awash with books questioning guilt. Okay. So he's written a letter to the Crown.
Yeah.
Highlighting stuff. Oh, that'll be good. Yeah, we'll have a look at this and then we'll have... Oh, it's got photos.
Oh, what kind of photos? It wouldn't be... Oh, so sea photos and stuff.
So it's got sea photos there.
that might just be the only one.
No, there was
Bother,
more.
I like a picture book.
Yes, I also like a book with pictures.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was like step by step, day by day. Yeah. Yeah, there's only one photo. There's more.
Okay,
It's got the blink.
Oh, it's got the montage photos in it.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy. Oh, that's crazy. He kind of looks like my ex-boyfriend.
Like,
Really toxic one.
but yeah. Oh, that boat on the front is from the documentary Murder on the Blade.
No, the question mark. I thought you were just sounding it, saying it really funny.
No, it's the question mark. But that'd be good. We'll go over that and come back to you.
And again, if you guys have any information at all about this case that you think deserves police attention, or just any information really at all, go to the police.
You can do it anonymously.
Write an anonymous letter. I don't know how it works.
You can call in anonymously.
Oh, well, there you go then. Yeah, if you've got any information at all, I know the families would really appreciate it. Yeah, so that was the case of Ben Smart and Olivia Hope, who went missing at 21 and 17 years
I really
of age.
I really hope something else comes out about that soon. Like, about... Oh, God. Like, you can't even... Like, if the... Oh, God.
So she'll be 41, I think. 17 plus 24. Yeah, so she'll be 41 and he'll be 45 coming into the end of this year.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, thanks for bumming me out,
Andi. And thanks for listening. I'm Andi.
And I'm Ayla.
And that was
Sinister Dynasty.